Hello everyone, welcome back to Crochet State of Mind. In this video tutorial, I'm going to show you how to crochet this cinched waist striped cardigan. This cardigan is worked entirely in one piece flat with the sleeves added in the round. So without any further ado, let's get started with the materials. So for this cardigan, I used Hobby Lobby's Yarn Bee, soft and sleek chunky yarn. Each skein has 211 yards. This is the color teal, which is one of the two colors I'll be using. This is a bulky 5-weight yarn, 100% low pill acrylic, and the recommended size is 6.5 millimeters. And I'll be using my Fire 6.5 millimeter hook. The other color that I'll be using for this is the color Spice. Again, this is the same yarn, just different color. Other materials will be a measuring tape, as this cardigan is made to measure, a pair of scissors, stitch markers, and a darning needle. So let's go ahead and get started. But before we go ahead and start, I want to show you how this cardigan will be constructed. The main body of the cardigan is going to be worked in one piece flat. So the front panel, back panel, and other front panel are going to be worked all in one. We're going to start with the first front panel, work in rows until we get to the armhole, then work the back panel until we get to the other armhole, and then continue with the front panel. And when we're done, we're going to fold our front panels like so, and we're going to sew the shoulder seams on both sides of the front panels. And then once that's done, we're going to add the sleeves, which are going to be crocheted in the round. And that'll be how the cardigan will be constructed. At the end, we'll add a border, which is optional, but it does make for a nice hemline. Okay. So we're going to start with our foundation chain, or foundation row rather, which is going to be for that first front panel. So this is what we're going to work, and it's going to be a total of 13 rows. We're going to start with an even number for the foundation row. So however long you want your cardigan to be will determine the number of stitches in that first row. Okay, but for this cardigan, for my size, we're going to start with 68 foundation double crochet stitches. And to do that, and again, the foundation row must be an even number. To do that, you're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and in that first chain that you created under both loops, you're going to yarn over, insert your hook under both loops, yarn over, pull through. You've got 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through one of those 3 loops, and you'll have 3 again. Then yarn over, pull through 2 until you have 2 loops remaining on your hook, and then yarn over and pull through both loops. And that is your first foundation double crochet stitch. And here I'm going to insert a stitch marker to indicate that this is the first stitch of the row. Now for the second foundation double crochet stitch underneath that X, you're going to yarn over, insert your hook underneath both loops. It looks like an X, but it's really not. Yarn over, pull through, you've got 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through, you've got 3 loops again. Then yarn over, pull through 2, you have 2 loops remaining, and then yarn over, pull through both. And that is your second foundation double crochet stitch. So you're going to keep doing this all along the row. And remember that using this method, this is also your first row. And for my measurements, this first row is going to be 68 foundation double crochet stitches. And we are beginning our first front panel with the color A, which is the teal color. Okay, so I will meet you back at the end of that first row, which is the foundation double crochet row. All right, so we're at the end of the first foundation double crochet row, which is also our row 1. And now we're going to change color and start the 9-row repeat pattern for this cardigan. We're changing to this color B, which is the spice color. Moving forward, I'll refer it to the color B. And so I'm going to show you how my method for changing color. And so first I finish the row, then I clip the ends, and then I undo the last stitch. And this is because I want the join to start exactly at the end of that row. So what I'm going to do is create 2 knots and then join them by pulling both ends. And so first we're going to create the first knot, and this is the way I do it. I do have a video tutorial on my channel on how to join two pieces of yarn using two different methods, including this one. And now I'm going to do the other knot on my left hand side, like so, pull tight, and then I'm going to pull the pieces together like so, making sure it's nice and tight. This will not come undone. And now I'm going to tie those loose ends like so, as close as possible to the knot without cutting the knot itself. And now I've joined the new color to the old color, and remember that I had undone my last stitch of the row, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and redo that last stitch. And again, this was so that, and you'll see this pretty soon, this is so that the new color starts exactly where I want it to start, which is at the end of this row, which is also the beginning of the next row. And there you have it. And now we've changed color. So now this row is not part of the 9-row repeat, right? It is just a base row. And now what I'm going to do is, because this is a cinched waist cardigan, I'm going to use stitch markers to mark where I want that cinched waist to be. And I want it to be about 3 inches. So this is essentially going to be a waistband. And what I am doing is I'm marking how far down from my shoulders I want it to start, and then the width of the waistband, or rather the length, once we turn the orientation of this cardigan. And I want it to be 2 to 3 inches. And so that gives me about 6 stitches. Okay, and now we're going to start row 2, which is really the first row of this 9-row repeat. We're not going to do a turning chain. We're going to do stack single crochet instead. So do a single crochet in the row below, and then in the left leg of that single crochet you just did, you're going to insert your hook and do another single crochet. And that is the stacked single crochet, which is my alternative to the chain 2 for a double crochet stitch. I'm going to use a stitch marker here to indicate this is the first stitch of the row. And now we're going to start the 9-row repeat with a double crochet row. And I'm going to keep doing this until I get to the stitch markers that indicate the beginning of the waistband. So I'm going to keep going along until I get to here, this point right here, because I'm going to show you how I do the waistband. All right, so now we are right at the beginning of where the waistband, or that cinched waist, is going to be. And what we're going to do here for this waistband is 6 extended single crochet stitches. So to do an extended single crochet stitch, you're going to do just like you would a single crochet, but after you have your 2 loops, you're going to yarn over and pull through 1. You'll have 2 loops and then you'll pull through both, right? So it's a single crochet, but you're adding 1 chain. So you're adding a yarn over, pull through 1, and then you pull through both. So once again, insert your hook, you have 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 1 of those 2 loops, you have 2 loops remaining, yarn over, pull through both. That's an extended single crochet. So it's a really easy, simple stitch. It just adds just a tiny, a slight level of rise to the single crochet. It does make it look nice. So make sure you do your 6 extended single crochet stitches, and don't forget to use those stitch markers to remember where that waistband starts and ends. Now, for my measurement, the waistband is 6 extended single crochet stitches. Depending on your measurements and how thick you want your waistband to be, it may be more than 6. Okay, so again, this is to measure, so make sure to do this according to your measurements. But now you're going to continue along the row with your double crochet stitches, just as you did before the waistband. Okay, so this is what's going to give it that hourglass shape almost, or that cinched waist. All right, so just keep doing this and keep going. And so now we're at the end of row 2, which is the first row of the 9-row repeat. And now you're going to do 2 more rows of double crochet stitches. All right, so I'm at the end of row 4. Okay, so I have 4 total rows, including that first row in the color teal. But it's really 3 rows of double crochet as part of that 9-row repeat. So now we're going to start rows 5 and 6, which are going to be cross stitch double crochets. And to do that, you're going to first start with your stacked single crochet, which counts as a double crochet stitch. As always, use a stitch marker to indicate that this is the first stitch of the row. And now to do a cross stitch double crochet, you're going to skip this, and in the next one you're going to insert a double crochet stitch. So first you skip a stitch, and in the very next one you do a double crochet stitch. Now you go back to the stitch that you skipped and you insert a double crochet there. Like so. And what this does is it gives you an X because the stitches are crossing. So again, you skip one stitch, and in the next stitch you're going to put a double crochet stitch. And these are regular double crochet stitches, it's just a placement that's different. And now you're going to go back to the stitch that you skipped, and you're going to insert a double crochet. So you're going to keep doing this all along the row until you get to the end. You're going to end the row with a double crochet stitch. So skip one, double crochet, go back to the skipped stitch and insert a double crochet, and just keep doing these X's all the way along the row. Okay. Now, don't forget that you will need to stop at the stitch markers to start your waistband stitches, which are the extended single crochet stitches. Okay, and this is going to happen for the entirety of the main body. Okay, so here we're going to break away from our cross stitch double crochets, and we're going to do extended single crochet stitches, 6 of them. And now that we've done the 6 extended single crochet stitches, we can continue with our cross stitch double crochet stitches. So you want to skip one stitch rather, and in the next one you're going to insert a double crochet. So before the waistband, your last stitch should be an X stitch, meaning the cross stitch double crochet. And then right after the waistband, so the very next stitch should be an X as well. So the beginning, so right before and after the waistband stitches need to be cross stitch. Okay, and just keep doing this until the end of the row. And we did this for 2 rows, and so we're at the end of row 6. And now we're going to continue with the pattern with 3 more rows of double crochet stitches. Okay, so rows 7, 8, and 9 are going to be double crochet rows, right? So I'll do these rows off camera, and I will meet you at the end of row 9. Okay, we're at the end of row 9, which is the 8th row of the 9-row repeat. And now we're going to start our 10th row, row 10, which is a puff stitch row, and that would be the 9th row of the 9-row repeat. So to do a puff stitch, first you're going to start with your stacked single crochet, which counts as a double crochet stitch. And now what you're going to do is you're going to first chain 1, skip 1 stitch. So we're not going to insert anything there. In this one, rather, we're going to yarn over, insert our hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, do not pull through, but insert your hook in there again, yarn over, do not pull through, yarn over one more time, insert your hook, yarn over, and now you want to pull through all of these loops until you have 2 loops remaining on your hook, like so, then yarn over and pull through both. This is a puff stitch. Now you want to add a chain 1, because we're going to skip a stitch, and in the next one we're going to do another puff stitch. So again, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through. Do not yarn over and pull through yet. Yarn over, insert your hook again, yarn over again, yarn over, pull through, and now pull through all these loops until you have 2 loops remaining. Then yarn over, pull through both loops, and then do a chain 1, skip 1, and then another puff stitch. And we're going to keep doing this all along the row, remembering to stop at the waistband, do those extended single crochet stitches, and then continue along the row with puff stitches. So I just finished the extended single crochet stitches, and now we're going to continue with the puff stitch. So again, the very first stitch right after your waistband will be a puff stitch. So puff stitch, chain 1, skip 1, puff stitch, all the way until the end of the row. You will end your row with a double crochet stitch. And now we're at the end of row 10, which is the end of the 9-row repeat, right? And this 9-row repeat goes as follows. Pause the video if you want to take note of this. But essentially, you keep doing this until you reach the end of the front panel. Now, you don't necessarily have to end with the 9th row or an 11th row. You're just doing this until you reach your desired front panel width, okay? So I'll see you at the end of the front panel. And here we are. The first front panel is now completed. This is what it looks like. And now we're going to work on this row right here. Now that the front panel is done, we're going to work on this row, which is called the null row. And this row is the row that's going to do 2 things. It's going to create the armhole where the sleeves are eventually going to be crocheted onto, and it's also going to split the front panel from the back panel. So we're going to crochet, crochet, crochet till we get here, which is what we need to measure now. From my arms and what I like for my sleeves to be, I'm going to go with 7.5 inches from the shoulder down, right? So the armhole depth, based on my measurements and how wide I want my sleeves to be, how fitted I want them to be, it's going to be 7.5 inches. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a stitch marker to mark with that 7.5 inches fall, which is indicated right here with the stitch marker. And then what I'll do is double check that it is 5.5 or about 5.5. And this is a number that you want to retain because you're going to do it on the other side as well. Right? So now we're going to crochet across until we get to that point. Starting here, we're going to crochet, crochet, crochet. Then when we get here, we're going to do our waistband, and then we'll stop right here and we'll veer off and start the back panel. Now I am changing color for this. I'm going back to color A, which is the teal, for the null row. And this is just a matter of preference. I do like having the null row be a different stitch. So we're going to do extended half double crochet stitches for this null row. And to do that, you're going to do an stack single crochet just as you would with double crochet stitches. And to do an extended half double crochet stitch, you're going to yarn over, insert your hook under both loops, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over and pull through one of those loops. You'll have 3 loops on your hook, and then yarn over, pull through all 3. So just like with the extended single crochet where you're just adding one more loop, that's what you're doing with the half double crochet, right? So when you have those 3 loops, you want to yarn over and pull through one, and then yarn over and pull through all 3, and that's going to create an extended half double crochet. And now keep doing this until you get to the waistband, at which point you're going to switch to the extended single crochet stitches, and then keep going until you get to that stitch marker that indicates the armhole depth. I hope that makes sense. Okay, now that we're at the stitch marker that indicates the beginning of the armhole depth, we're going to change to color B. So the null row is color A. Now we're going back to color B to create that chain. And that chain is going to be a chain of 19. So you're going to chain 19, and those 19 stitches are the equivalent of 7.5 inches, which is again the armhole depth and the beginning of the back panel. And here are my 19 chains. This is where we're at right here, that armhole depth. And now we're going to start the back panel. So I've done my work, and now for the back panel, we're going to restart that 9-row repeat and continue for 29 rows. And this is again based on my measurement. So you may end up with more than 29 or less than 29. And again, you can take a screenshot of this or pause the video and take note of that 9-row repeat pattern. But here I'm just showing you how to double crochet on that chain 19 row. And what I really want to show you is how I insert those double crochet stitches. I use the back bump of the chain, and this is so that the bottom of that chain looks more like the very beginning of the project, which was that foundation row. You don't have to insert your hook in the back bump of the chain. You can do it, just as you would a regular traditional foundation row, but this is how I like to do it, completely optional. And so just keep inserting double crochet stitches into the chain stitches until you get to that stitch marker that indicated the beginning of the armhole depth. So I'm going to finish this off camera, and I'll meet you at the stitch marker right here. And here we are at the stitch marker, and what we're going to do now is just remove the stitch marker and then just continue double crocheting along the row. And again, when you get to the waistband, you're going to stop and do your extended single crochet stitches and then continue with the double crochet. All right, so I'll do this off camera, and I'll meet you at the end of the back panel. And here we are at the end of the back panel. Now I do realize that I did not show where and when I changed colors. I did this off camera. However, I was really freestyling, so there was really no rhyme or reason. But you could pause the video and just count how many rows were done in whatever color. But it was really I just was freestyling. So we just did the front panel, back panel, and now we're going to start the other front panel. But first we have to do the null row. So for the null row, we're going to repeat exactly what we did with that first null row. We're going to indicate 7.5 inches of the armhole depth. We're going to put a stitch marker there, count 19 stitches, and we're just repeating the process, all right? That null row, again, is going to be in that color A, the teal. And that's what we're going to do right here. All right, so I am going to do this now off camera, and I'll meet you back at the end of the front panel. Now, before I go off camera, I do want to mention that the front panel is going to be identical to the other front panel. So you're not going to just continue with the 9-row repeat. You're going to work backwards from the first front panel, if that makes sense. So just look at the first front panel, and then almost do the inverse so that both front panels are identical. I hope that makes sense. All right, so I've completed the second front panel off camera, and this is what it looks like. It is a replica of the first front panel, but the inverse, right? So like I said earlier, just make sure that you're inverting what you did with the first front panel for the second front panel. Now you can cut off your end, fasten off, and then lay your cardigan flat to prepare for joining the panels. And here's what the cardigan looks like when it's laid flat. This is the main body. The sleeves are not added yet. This is what it looks like once the panels are laid on top of the back panel. And now I'm going to show you how to join at the shoulders. So what I did was I just placed the front panels on top of the back panel like you saw in the previous image. And then I put stitch markers on either side to make sure that both sides were equal, meaning the number of rows on the front panel was equal to the number of rows in the back panel, and same thing on the other side. and I use the darning needle and yarn. You don't have to use this color, you can use the other color, it doesn't really matter. With this method, you don't really see the yarn, I mean the yarn. But it's totally up to you. And I'm just going to show you real quick how I sew the panels together. Okay, so the first front panel has been successfully joined to the back panel. Remember to leave a long tail that you're going to weave in later on. And now you're going to repeat that process on the other side. So for the other front panel right here. All right. And now that the panels have been joined, we can start working on the sleeve. And so starting with the very first sleeve, we're going to have a total of 26 rounds. We're going to use the same 9-row repeat pattern for this until we get to the cuff. So we're also going to change the color A, the color teal, and we're going to start our first round with 34 double crochet stitches. I am going to show you this very first round and how I begin the round and how I end it by joining it with the slip stitch. So just watch how I do this. I just insert my hook here. First I do a chain one and then I do a single crochet, and then in the left leg I do that second single crochet, starting with that stacked single crochet, which counts as the first double crochet of the round. This is even more important at this point to use a stitch marker, because you need to know when you get to the end of the round where to insert your hook and join that round. I also like to use stitch markers to indicate the last stitch of the round so that I'm not adding or decreasing any stitches in that round. It's never a bad idea to use stitch markers. Last thing you want to do is get to like 50% of your project and realize that you either added or decreased stitches, and now you have to frog your work. So at this point I'm going to just start my double crochet stitches in the round, and I'm going to go around until I get to the other side, which is where that blue stitch marker is. And so I will do this off camera and meet you back there. And here we are. This last stitch is indicated by the blue stitch marker, which I just removed. And now we're going to do our final double crochet stitch of the round. I'm going to insert my stitch marker back into that stitch so that for the next round I know that this is my last stitch or my first stitch, depending on what side I start. And now I'm going to join the round using a slip stitch. I'm going to remove the stitch marker because this is the top of that stacked single crochet, which is the alternative to the chain two. Insert my hook and do a slip stitch. If I can get my hook to grab this piece of yarn. And now I've just joined the rounds, and this is the end of round one. And we're going to go back to color B. And so color B is going to be the beginning of the 9-row repeat, which is also round two. We're going to continue this for 22 total rounds, and that last round is going to be a double crochet round. So again, that first round that I did, and I apologize if I misspoke earlier, but that first round is not part of the 9-row repeat. It's just the color change, and then from that round is where we're going to start our 9-row repeat. Okay, so just continue with the 9-row repeat, meaning start from round two, which will be your first round of that 9-row repeat, and keep going for 22 rounds. I will see you at the end of that 22nd round. All right, we are at the end of the 22 rounds. As you can see, this is what the sleeve looks like so far, keeping in mind that we did use the same pattern as we did for the main body. And now we're going to change colors. We're going to go back to color A and start the cuff. We're going to do 4 rounds of front post, back post, double crochet stitches. And here's how to do that. So again, start with your stacked single crochet stitch, which counts as a double crochet stitch, the first of the round. And after you've done that first one, now you can start your front post, back post. I do have a video tutorial on my channel on how to do the front post, back post double crochet stitches, so feel free to check that out. But I'm going to show you here how to do that. So the front post, back post double crochet stitches go around the post of the double crochet stitches. So you do need a double crochet stitch in order to do this. So for a front post double crochet, you insert your hook behind the post and you bring that post forward, which is why it's called the front post. Yarn over, pull through, you've got 3 loops, yarn over, pull through, you've got 2, yarn over. So a regular double crochet, the placement is what's different. So for the back post, because we are alternating, you're going to insert your hook after you yarn over behind the post, forward, and then back out. So you're actually pushing that post back, which is why it's called the back post double crochet stitch. And continue with your double crochet as you normally would. And again, we're alternating back to the front post, so we want that post sticking forward. We're going to insert our hook behind the post, move it forward so it's facing us, and then yarn over, pull through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. All right, now back to the back post. So we want that post to stick out to the back, away from us. So yarn over, come in from the back, around the post so that it sticks out back, and then continue with your double crochet. So you're going to keep doing this until you get to the end, and your very last stitch of the round is just going to be a regular double crochet round, or stitch rather, I apologize. And then you're just going to keep doing this for 4 total rounds. So front post, back post, double crochet stitches for 4 total rounds. I will do this off camera and I will meet you at the end of the cuff. And here's the end of the cuff. 4 rows of front post, back post, double crochet. And now we can repeat that process for our second sleeve. So I will see you at the end of the second sleeve. And now that our second sleeve is done, we have one last thing left to do, which is to add a border to this cardigan. Just want to show you what the cardigan looks like so far. And as you can see, this is what those extended single crochet stitches sort of gave you, but we need a border around this neckline and down here. So for the border, we're going to do it in 2 stages. So the bottom of the cardigan is going to be done first, and that's going to be done using 1 row of double crochet stitches in the color teal. And then we're going to do the sides and neckline of the cardigan in the color B. And we're going to do 2 rows of double crochet for that one. Okay, so the border is really up to you. You can do it the way I'm doing it. You can try something different, but it's just to make the edges or the border of the cardigan look nicer. Okay, so I will see you at the end when the border is completed. And here it is, border completed. As you can see, the sides are done in the color B, and the bottom border was completed in the color A right here. Okay, so this is what it looks like, and your cardigan is ready. And so this is what it looks like. Here's the final product. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much, and happy crocheting. Bye-bye.